You may have read a news story in the London Economic publication warning that Team GB's swimming team is unlikely to reflect the diversity of Great Britain until the 2052 Olympic Games at the earliest. So what's the relevance of all this, you may ask? Please bear with me and let me explain. I use Team GB's swimming team as the basis of this story because youth in general are inspired by those they want to be and those they believe they can be. What we see on the national and international stage in sports profoundly affects grassroots. I mean, you only have to look at football. I personally believe it's highly unlikely that children of African, Caribbean, and Asian heritage of this generation will be inspired enough to proportionally engage in aquatics, as they need to see living proof of themselves on these platforms and in these spaces to believe that they belong. When a child tells you they don't believe that Black and Asian people belong in swimming based on their visual perception of the national swimming platform and the lack of diversity in aquatics in general, it's kind of hard to convince them otherwise. And what are the knock-on effects of this? Only 1% of registered swimmers with governing body Swim England identify as Black or mixed race. According to Sports England, 95% of Black adults and 93% of Asian adults and 80% of Black children and 78% of Asian children in England do not swim. 1 in 4 children who complete their primary education are unable to swim. Africa and Asia have the highest drowning rates. And according to the World Health Organization, the risk of drowning is much, much higher amongst minority ethnic communities. So without representation and participation at grassroots, we will not be producing the caliber of swimmers that can compete at the elite level. And then, guess what? The cycle continues. So is there any positive outlook to all of this? It's only through what we are doing today in the form of advocacy, research, and education do we have a chance in eradicating these inherited traits and change the negative perception of aquatics in our youth, in hope that they become role models to the next generation. So it would take a generation to drive this change, and that's why I personally believe that Team GB's swimming team is unlikely to reflect the diversity of Great Britain until 2052 Olympic Games at the earliest.